All right, we are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How you doing, Seth?
I'm good. Sunny
All
Florida.
right, Florida, beautiful Florida, escaping the last little bit of winter we have. How's the temperature down there?
Probably 75, sunny.
Oh, nice.
Not so bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad here too. I think we have like one more snow and then it's calming down. But you like the snow anyway. You're always snowboarding.
Mhm.
All right, what we have on the Electric podcast this week, we're going to talk a little bit about Teslas. We usually do a good Tesla news this week. We have some decent, not so good Tesla news first, but then some decent Tesla news. We're going to talk about a little bit of an update on the Donut Lab. I've been calling it the miracle battery, solid state. It is some actual third-party testing is starting to trickle in slowly. And so far, so good. So we'll check that out. Still remain somewhat skeptical, but we'll see. We have Lucid that had their earnings this week. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then Waymo is having a giant expansion. But first, let's talk about one of the biggest EV factory in the world is kind of in a tough spot. And we're going to know a lot more within the next week. But that's the Tesla Giga Berlin. We've been reporting on Tesla's issues in Europe, which are, quite significant. We're talking about the total collapse of demand for Tesla in Europe after peaking in 2023, a slight decrease in 2024, a crash in 2025, brand issue like this picture here of Elon doing a nice little salute that was projected on the factory. In Europe, they're taking Elon's turn in this like kind of doomsday billionaire club that they're doing right now quite seriously, and it's affecting the demand quite a bit. And people thought that we saw the bottom in 2025. Apparently not, because we got the numbers from January and it's still down even compared to January in 2025 when Tesla was doing the Model Y refresh, and we thought that was the main explanation for Tesla's problems at the time. Turns out wasn't. Even with full supply, Tesla is having issues having any kind of momentum in Europe. So what happens to the factory in Europe then? And that's Gigafactory Berlin. We discussed a bit about the capacity situation going on. It's technically Tesla can produce up to 375,000 Model Ys per year in Berlin. Last year, Tesla delivered 235,000 total vehicle in Europe, and some of those came from China. So it's quite under capacity. Now also Tesla Europe is sending cars to other market. For example, in Canada, we're getting some Model Ys from Europe now because of the tariffs on US. However, we used to get them from China, and now we are reducing the tariffs on China. So Tesla might end up moving to Chinese car, back to Chinese cars. So that won't help Berlin either. So it's really just a bad situation all around. And then what has been escalating lately is the conflict with the union. So in Germany, every factory has a workers' council, and it's kind of a mini parliament within the factory where you can elect representative, and the representative represent certain faction, including unions. Tesla, famously anti-union, one of the few manufacturer in the U.S. who still operates large-scale manufacturing, auto manufacturing without any union. In Germany, it's literally the only one, if I'm not mistaken. And they've been trying to. IG Metall is the big one for automakers, automotive workers, I should say, in Germany. And the last workers' council vote in 2024, they got the biggest faction voted in, but still a minority of around 30-something%. And they've been trying to gain a majority to get collective bargaining against Tesla and bring Tesla's workers' conditions up to the German standard, which now include I think a 35-hour work week too. So you would reduce the hour, better pay, vacations, all of that stuff. Tesla has been fighting against that quite a bit, and there's been some weird things in the last few months happening, including a concert with they brought in a rapper that was like doing in some anti-union stuff, and a few weeks ago it escalated to a workers' council meeting that Tesla claimed an IG middle representative was filming. The IG middle denied that. Tesla called the police on IG middle, tried to get the representative's laptop. The representative refused. They waited for the police. The police got a laptop, and now IG middle is suing Tesla over the situation. We don't know exactly how that will come out, but this is all leading to a vote that's going to happen next week now. And this week, Tesla had another ace up its sleeve. Or I don't know how much of an ace it is these days. The head of the factory went to California, or no, I should say Texas. Probably it was Texas. Austin, and then they interview Elon Musk, and then they play that recording to the employees there. And it was a lot about like Tesla's plan for Europe, trying to reassure people that the big one in Elon's mind, according to the interview, is FSD. Like he's convinced that FSD is on the verge of being approved in Europe, and he thinks that will save Tesla in Europe. Well, he didn't use these words. No, I don't think he used the word like Tesla needs saving in Europe, but he thinks it's going to boost demand. But I mean, as you and I know, Seth, FSD is available in North America, and the take rate is in the low teens. So how is that going to save Tesla in Europe? If I mean, I guess there's some like autopilot features too that are not available there that could be available. So they could be like tiers that they can release. So it's not just going to be FSD, but at the same time, that would force Tesla to change up its offering again. And Elon has been more talking about we're just going to release FSD. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I don't think that's going to be the savior in Europe. He did talk about Cybercab. We're going to have a little bit more to say about Cybercab. So he just hinted that maybe they could produce a Cybercab in Gigafactory Berlin too. Tesla Semi, which has been one of the most likely candidate to help the factory. But then he said, well, not in so many words. I think the words he said is outside influence rather than union. But he said that all of this won't happen if the union gets in, basically. Again, says the exact word was like, if more outside influence takes over the factory, influence Tesla, it will automatically influence it in the wrong direction, he said. Which, I think most people get the idea. And he did emphasize that we will not close the factory, he said, but realistically we'll also not expand it. Now, if they don't, in my view set is that if they don't expand it, then if they don't expand and produce something else there's no point of keeping the factory going, because if you're operating at less than 50% capacity, it's just not sustainable. Are you with me with that? You're muted right now.
They could distance themselves from a fascist leader. That might help demand a little bit.
I mean, I think everyone agrees with that. Like, it's kind of it would be the easiest, fastest move, right? Like, you just
demand
step
lever
down, go do SpaceX, XAI, whatever. Like,
robots, whatever.
Yeah, keep a role or whatnot. But he's not CEO anymore. Distance yourself and everything. I would see literally a 10, 15, 20% boost in demand right away. I think
double.
Double that, yeah. I mean, possible. I think conservatively, like high teens to low 20s, but yeah, possibly even higher than that. You're right. And when you think about it, it's kind of well, I don't know if it's a breach of the board's fiduciary duty not to do it, because at the same time, it wouldn't even justify the current stock price either. I think the only thing that justifies the current stock price is the delusion of believing in the goal, the potential of humanoid robots and robotaxis. So those are attached to Elon rather than car sales. So I don't think that's even helping. But my conclusion was sad to this article is that no matter what happens, I with the vote next week, and obviously I think the vote is going to go Tesla's ways, because if it doesn't go Tesla's way, I think it's going to be used to close the factory. So workers lose then. And then if it goes Tesla's ways, like it's just you keep going for a little bit. Maybe you get Tesla Semi there. Maybe you get Cybercab there. Even though Cybercab is our next story, and it's not not a good one. Speaking of the Cybercab, the program manager, Mr. Victor Nichita, he's the head of the vehicle program for the Cybercab at Tesla, announced that he's leaving this week after 7+ years at Tesla. And he was also the program manager for the Model 3 Highland, which is my daily driver right now, and I do enjoy the vehicle quite a bit. So thank you, Victor, for that. Thank you for your contribution. It's a great vehicle program. But when it comes to Cybercab as a vehicle program manager, it must be kind of a frustrating vehicle, because you find yourself, you do everything. The vehicle already achieved the first production unit. It's not in volume production just yet. There's still work to do on that, but they achieved the first production unit. So you took the vehicle from a prototype, and I don't know why I keep getting some alerts on this, even though I put my do not disturb on. Let me put it back off and back on. Hopefully that's going to work. You took it from a prototype to a production unit, on very well on the road to volume production, starting in April, only just a month and a half away. And but the goal, the vehicle, if it doesn't have a steering wheel, doesn't have pedals, you need to solve self-driving for making it work. So he was most likely told, like, do your thing, Victor, bring this car to production, make it work fine, everything. We'll take care of the rest. We'll solve the FSD in the meantime, upload it in your vehicle, and you're gonna have a successful vehicle program. And then he keeps watching what's happening with this robotaxi program and everything. He's like, ooh, I think I just built a car that's useless right now. That's literally what happened. There's still a few months, but we know that. The other thing is that the hardware 5 was supposed to be inside the Cybercab, and that got delayed too. So it's stuck on the hardware 4 technology, which, I mean, again,
isn't that 4.5 running around?
Yeah, but I don't think it's a giant improvement over 4. It's marginal. But this week I a few hundred kilometers on FSD. Incredible product, FSD, like truly amazing. The latest version, super good, like very good. Nowhere near ready for level 4 or 5, but incredible. Like you can see the car thinking very well. Everything is just the tail end of what can happen with the vehicle, especially at higher speed, is just it's so large and so dangerous that there is no way that Tesla is going to let any consumer version of this be unsupervised. There's just no way. So until they figure that out, which I think is still a year or two away at least, and probably another hardware revision away, you find yourself with a vehicle that's going to be limited to being used on the kind of geofence robotaxi service that you see in Austin right now, which is extremely limited and not really competitive with Waymo and others. It's very, very poor decision making all around to make this happen. All within the context that Tesla has something pretty incredible with FSD. Is just not what was promised. The other thing too, in the comments that I saw in my articles on the Cybercab this week, is I made a couple of them, and it's a lot of people actually argue, like this person here, that even with unsupervised autonomy, Cybercab is like not a really great product because it's just a two-seater with limited space. And it's not a bad point. Like if you,
but why did they make it so small? Like like a vehicle that big can hold 4 people. Like what's going on in the back?
I mean, the focus, my understanding, the focus on a Cybercab is the cost per mile. So they want to reduce the cost of the vehicle itself as much as possible. They want to reduce the aerodynamics as much as possible in order to have the most efficient vehicle, to have the best cost per mile possible. And the idea is that most of the time there's only one or two people inside of a ride share or ride hailing vehicle, so it makes sense. And yeah, I agree on that. So I do see this vehicle, if you do solve unsupervised self-driving within a ride hailing system, it's going to be super efficient per mile. Agreed. Tesla would have a great product there if they do solve for it, which they haven't. But they keep talking about selling it for to consumers. Like even if that was like a $30,000 car, and a Model 3 with FSD would be like 45,000, whatever. The Model 3 is so much a better product at 45 than this at 30, like for consumer to buy it, both unsupervised, I mean. So yeah, it's just it doesn't solve that much of a problem as other solutions. Moving on to good Tesla news this week, Tesla released the Tesla Semi Megacharger map. So there's 64 Megacharger location planned in the US. They all say coming soon, other than the two that are already on in Nevada and in California. But there's a bunch of them. A bunch of them are planned, especially in California, Texas, the bigger corridors there. Some in the Northeast, but very limited. A lot in Florida, where you are right now, Tampa, Orlando, Gainesville, Jacksonville. There's plenty of them, and including in Georgia and the Carolinas. So yeah, it's an extensive network that's planned, and it's something I'm pretty hyped about because, let's admit it, the supercharger network is probably Tesla's best product right now, most successful product ever. It's the one that's currently encouraging EV adoption more than anything, even from other automakers, because since they opened it up through the NACS. And it's a big if they can replicate that for mega chargers, like a megawatt level charging for commercial vehicles like the Tesla Semi, they're going to have something very successful in their hands, I think.
I agree. I don't quite understand why they're just doing like little areas. Like why not have a corridor from Texas to California?
I think there is. Like I didn't show the full map here, but I think they connect. Most of them connect. There's okay. Gaps. There's definitely gaps. But if you look between New Mexico, like there's along the border and all the way through Arizona, I think those connect. If I want to be honest, I think the way it looks like they are building this specifically for Tesla's own supply chain. So you see that route between Austin and Mexico, Nuevo Leon, where Tesla has a lot of suppliers in Mexico around there. So this connects directly to Austin, and then obviously Nevada, San Francisco Bay Area, big route for Tesla. Los Angeles, San Francisco, obviously. A lot of actual vehicles being transited to that, but also big ports. So yeah, I think Tesla built it around that primarily because they're gonna want to, as if they do hit everything they claim to hit with the Tesla Semi, it does reduce the cost of transportation quite a bit. So it does, so that costs everyone that uses them will have an advantage, them and or their customers. So why not be the first customers to use it and reduce your logistic costs? It makes sense on that front. All right, moving on. Used Tesla prices are coming up quite a bit. So that's good news for Tesla owners because Tesla is breaking the trend too. So I think there was clearly an overcorrection last year because we saw the prices just going down like crazy. Like at one point, the average Tesla used Tesla price was not only below the average EV price, which Tesla is a little bit of a premium product, so that's weird in itself. It was below the average used car price. So any car, a huge used Nissan Sentra was like could have been more expensive than the average used Tesla. It makes no sense. Just absolutely nuts. So there was an overcorrection, and now it's going back up, despite most other used EV prices going down. You see the Kona going down 6%, not too surprising. ID4 6% down too. The Mach-E is still down 5% over. By the way, this is over from September to January. So September has been since Tesla basically started now to level up, it found the bottom, and it's been going back up since. The other thing that's affecting it a lot, because if you look at like Model Y, the by far the more popular, just up 1.3%. So it's nothing crazy here. And Model 3 2.6%, but the one that are making the big difference is the Model S and X at 8.5 and 10% up, which we have to assume is due to the announcement that there won't be any more of them starting in June. So, and production is most likely going down quite a bit until then. So there's never going to be as more Model S and X, so that rarity does contribute to that. And the price are still holding up quite a bit at over $50,000 now. Taycan is also up. There was also a big overcorrection there with the Taycan.
Yeah.
So you could find some cheap ones out there. So it's up 4%. So only the Teslas and the Taycan are breaking the trend right now.
I got myself a very inexpensive Mercedes EQS, $45,000 on a $110,000 car. It was like 2 years old.
There's deals out there for those that look, especially if you're like for luxury stuff. There's good deals.
Very good, yeah.
All right. Moving on from Tesla news, we're going to talk about the Donut Lab. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that we are live and you can ask us questions. It can be about any of the topics we're discussing today or any of the topics in the EV world that you would like set or I stake on. You can put them in the comment section on YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, whatever. We are streaming live right now, and we're going to get to it in just a few minutes. But yeah, the Donut Lab battery, for the people that haven't been following, it's been this big story since CES. They announced at CES that they are the first solid-state battery in a production vehicle, namely the Verge motorcycle, which is kind of a sister company to Donut Lab, Finnish motorcycle manufacturer, which they delivered a few hundred bikes out there. It's a real company and everything, so that gave them credibility. Then the fact that they say it's already in a vehicle gave them credibility as well. But and why did they need credibility? Is because the specs were absolutely insane. They were talking about 100,000 cycles, 11C charging, so 5-minute charging, talking about the top of the line energy density, so that enabling electric airplanes and everything. It's just everything too good to be true. But I interviewed the CEO, and even though he didn't want to go into the details or anything, he said that we already announced that this isn't a production vehicle. So if everything I'm saying is bullshit, then you'll know fairly soon. So he's kind of putting his reputation on the line, and the fact that he wasn't trying to raise capital at the time, which was the only kind of upside that I thought, like if this is not true, then we'll know you're bullshit in a few months, and that's going to be it. So unless he's raising capital right now to try to bank on that bullshit, there's just no point in lying whatsoever. So but lie is not the only thing that could happen here too. Is like they could think that they have something and they actually don't. But at the same time, the whole claim was based like this is in production right now. It's been testing for months, if not years. So they should know what they have, really. So the big thing we've been waiting for is independent testing of the cells. And now the lab, and the Finnish lab, VTT, a very serious laboratory in Finland, was given an opportunity to test the cell. But they're doing the drops, the trickle drops at the time. So what they released this week was only the charging of the cell that they released. And the charging was somewhat quite impressive. It does what Donut Lab said it does, which it's charged at 11C. So for people who don't know, normally 1C is the standard charge rate for and discharge rate for a battery cell in an electric vehicle. 11C is quite nuts. It enabled the battery to charge in just less than 5 minutes. So that's crazy, and it did it too with just heat sinks, so not active cooling other than heat sinks. Now that's a single cell, so there's a few caveats to the whole thing. So when you have a bunch of cells together and they charge or discharge rapidly, thermally, it's the heat that it creates, it's a lot bigger, and it needs to be managed. If you have a single cell that's not compromised by another cell, so in this case, literally on an heat sink, they tested it with just on an heat sink and then between two heat sinks. So you will never find. We're talking about thick heat sink here. Do I have a picture in there? No, I didn't put a picture. There was a video. You see it in the video.
Hi there.
Oh. But yeah, here you see it. Oh. Here. So it's a pretty big heat sink here. You will never find this inside of a battery pack. Obviously, you can have like a giant heat sinks and then a cell in a giant heat sink. It just doesn't work like that. But you can still it discharge at 11C and charge within 4.5 minutes. They did disclose that there was one test that it did fail. So it at 90 degrees Celsius, there's a cutoff, and it hit that right away. So they were like, all right, let's restart the test. They think that it was not properly set on the heat sink, so they redid it, and it actually worked. So we're gonna give them credit on that. And with the second test, it went up to 63 Celsius, which is pretty hot, but not too bad. And then when you charge them at 5C, which is still super fast, by the way, but a lot more reasonable, it was between 27 and 61.5 Celsius, so extremely reasonable. And if they use two heat sinks at 5C, it went to 47, which is really nothing for a battery. So you could see here, something interesting is that if you use these batteries and you don't go crazy on the charging, because let's be honest, not every application need 5-minute charging. It's pretty nuts. You could actually build this in a very cheap battery pack without any thermal management, and it would do very well, or maybe some cold management, but not heat management. So you limit it at so again, this is just one cell. So let's say you limit at 3C. You could still charge this thing pretty damn fast, and you won't need to manage the heat whatsoever. It won't eat that much. Maybe some very limited heat management. So this is a claim that they did make originally, that you could build this in a cheap battery pack, and it's somewhat through from what we see right now. But again, this is one of the claims. We still need to verify the 400 watt-hour per kilogram energy density, the 100,000 life cycle, which is obviously a lot harder to test. But you do it at 11C and then stuff. You can go. You can get through some cycle pretty quickly. I mean, at 5 minutes a cycle, you can 10 minutes if you just charge. You can do 6 cycles.
Yeah, you can't even
an hour.
discharge quick enough, right? Like
that's the thing.
Discharging it.
It's you
like
you
megawatts.
You need to put that power somewhere.
You need like a BYD or a Yangwang U9 to send out the power.
Yep. And now we are in February, and by the end of the quarter, they're supposed to ship bikes. So we're, within a month of their deadline. So what we expect right now is, if everything goes well, is that they keep releasing these with, energy density next, and then life cycle, and within the next few weeks. And after that, they deliver the bikes. And you got to give it to them. So far, their releases are really impressive, very consistent, and it's going well. There can still be a lot to go wrong by then, but so far so good. Speaking of crazy charging, BYD this week, they unveiled a 1.5 megawatt, 1,500 kilowatt EV charging, 2 kilometers per second. If you do the math, so that's 120 kilometers per minute. So that's 80 miles per minute of charging. So you do 2-minute charging, and you are halfway full in a a regular battery pack. It's absolutely nuts. We're so far behind in North America here that we barely have any megawatt charging station. They already have a ton of them there, and now they're already moving to 1.5 megawatt charging. It's absolutely nuts. So I don't know if they actually announce. Okay, so in March 5th, there should be more details on this, on how they're gonna release that to their lineup. But they already demonstrated it to some media in China. So next week, by the end of next week, we should know more about what BYD is gonna do with this 1.5 megawatt stuff. And the 1.5 megawatts, we think about like Tesla Semi, which charge at 1.2 megawatts, doesn't even charge at 1.5. But these could very well end up in consumer vehicles, because we see it already in China. They have these crazy like dual charger ones, like 500 on each side. It's nuts. All right, a few more news, and then we jump into the comments section with you guys. If you have a question, now's your time. In about 5 minutes, we're gonna get into it. Lucid had their earnings this week, and there was some good, there was some bad. The big thing that people focused on is they expect a significant increase in production this year. Lucid guided between 25 and 27,000 EVs produced in 2026, which is a 40 to 50% increase year over year. It will be quite significant for the automaker, but it would be consistent with what's been happening. So last year, first half of the year went from like Q1 2000. Oh, well, that's production. Okay, 3.8 in Q2. Then it kind of became stagnant with 3.6 in Q3, but then Gravity started picking up, and now you had 7.8 thousand in Q4. So if they keep that going into 2026, sorry, it will do quite well. But then you also have 2020. You have the mid-range, mid in terms of pricing vehicles. Why is this? I keep getting these alerts. It's annoying, even though I'm on Do Not Disturb. Wait, Do Not Disturb is just failing. All right. But the mid-size one, even though production is expected to start in 2026, in late 2026, it won't contribute meaningfully. The Gravity is still going to be most of the volume this year, and the Air is still in production also. But they need it. They need it badly, because in Q4, the gross margin was minus 81%. So not great. But Rivian was there not too long ago, and they managed to reverse that quite a bit once they achieve higher volume production. And the Gravity is what this is gonna approach. So the Q4 was the first quarter of like significant Gravity production. So I think this is gonna improve quite a bit in the first half of this year. So we'll see it. We see Lucid coming closer to a neutral gross margin, and then the mid-size one, just like Rivian with the R2, is going to be the one to actually have a positive impact there. So, and they still have $4.6 billion in liquidity. If you go at the current rate, that's good enough for them until the first half of 2027. So either they become positive by then, which is not impossible, even though extremely difficult, I think. They would need to raise more capital by then. And now the question with Lucid is like, obviously their daddy has been the Saudis. They've been the one paying the bills for a while, and there's been rumors over the last year that they might not be interested in keep doing that, even though Lucid has tempered those rumors a bit. So we'll see. I think Lucid can still go to market and raise some money right now, even though a lot of it is just going to everything AI these days. Like $110 billion round for OpenAI today. It's hard to raise money when you have someone like just gobbling everything like that on the market. And it's not even the IPO yet. Like this year, you're gonna have the SpaceX IPO at like 1.5 trillion. You're gonna have the Anthropic, all these things that's just gonna gobble up all the money for everyone that's trying to raise capital to actually produce, move some metal, produce some real things. Not that AI is useless or anything like that, but I have my love-hate relationship with AI. You're muted, by the way, Seth. If you need to.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. All right, last quick one before we jump into the comment section. Waymo announced four more cities this week that they're actually going in service right now. So this is now 10 total cities in the US where you have a commercial level 4 robotaxi service from Waymo. So this is really happening. We're seeing a real impact from that. So there's new cities this week is Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Orlando. So 3 of them are in Texas because Texas regulations are pretty easy when it comes to that stuff. And then Orlando. And I think this is going to have a big impact because we are at 10 cities right now. And every time they enter a new city, a lot of more people experience, full self-driving, a real full self-driving for the first time, fully unsupervised. And it's kind of mind-blowing for a lot of people. It's not without issue. Waymo is not perfect, and they are having some problems at times. But for the most part, their approach is very safe and gradual, especially focusing on lower speed. Now they're in few markets. They are on the highway also, but they've trained for that quite a bit first. So it's happening, folks. So the full self-driving, unsupervised is going mainstream. It's just not Tesla doing it. It's actually Waymo. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
On Waymo, it would be nice if they could reduce their hardware stack a little bit. Like if they just had like one thing on top. I think the Zeekr is like their next hardware thing, and that's a bigger. It's like a minivan. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
Yeah, it's more integrated. So that's the Waymo Driver 6, the 6th generation, and it's going on the Zeekr, but also on the Ioniq 5 also. So they're going to use that too. And that's coming this year. And currently, it's going to reduce the cost to below $50,000, including the car.
And that's a big car too.
Yeah. So that's the cost is not going to be that. The cost is going to go down. Like people look at the cost right now of the actual ride, of like booking the ride, and it's a little bit higher than the Uber X or something, but it's not that much. Like I think it's similar to like Uber Comfort in some cities, and the cost is going to go down as they expand and as they reduce the actual hardware cost stack, like you said.
All right, comments. David Canada 1254 says, what would boost the Cybertruck sales more? Another 10K price drop. I was thinking about, you remember when Elon, I think it was right before they introduced the Cybertruck, was saying, hey, this one's going to be crazy, but we have, in case this one flops, which frankly, that's where we're at right now, we've got a backup plan, a more traditional looking design.
Yeah. That was 2018, 2019, Elon. So
right.
I think that he was still somewhat reasonable back then. Now he's just not. So I don't think that's happening. But yeah, this whole price change with the Cybertruck is such a weird one because I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. So we're at the 27th right now. So I guess on Sunday or Monday, we should have an idea of like what's the new price on this. But if you follow his logic, which is hard to follow, is that they released this truck at $60,000, which is, if you like the Cybertruck, it's a good price for the feature that they offer. And then he says it's just going to last 10 days. After 10 days, something's going to change. And then the price is going to change based on the demand we see during those 10 days. But that demand is completely screwed by the urgency that you just created. So if you see a ton of demand at $60,000 and you say, I can sell it at $70,000 now. No, probably not. Who the hell is going to, as soon as you increase the price to $70,000, who the hell is going to buy it now? Because they know that their neighbor just got it for 60, the same exact truck. It makes no sense. I don't know why he's saying that. After a while, if they sell it at $70,000, I'm sure it's gonna go from like selling $5,000 a month to selling maybe, I don't know, $7,000-8,000 a month. Maybe that's it helps, but it's still so far below the production capacity of 250,000 units per year, and it's gonna create a big glut. It's not gonna be that much demand for months after they increase the price. Maybe they get enough back order for a few months. I know that the timeline has increased now from June to April 2027, which is a super long timeline, but it doesn't mean anything if they plan to like shut down production. We don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, I'm completely baffled that he thinks he's going to get an idea of the demand at another price from this price after creating so much urgency to buy it. Makes no sense.
Yeah, David in Canada continues, or adding 150 to 200 miles of range. I don't know that really moves the needle, maybe for some folks who want to do some towing.
Yeah.
But that would be like putting on the extended battery, which was
dead on
kind of,
arrival.
Yeah. More battery lies, donut. Well, we'll see about that. I think they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, no lies detected yet. That we can prove. Can you prove it, Dime Bag? Because I cannot prove anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about temperatures. It's pretty warm all over now. I won't buy another Tesla until there's a separate Tesla automotive that has nothing to do with Musk. I think that's probably quite a few people. That would be interesting. Maybe we should do a poll about that.
If you're gonna, if Elon is separated from Tesla, are you gonna buy a Tesla?
Yeah,
I think we
our
ran
audience
that.
is obvious.
So we ran that already at some point, I think, but
all right,
it was a while ago. A lot have changed since.
How many kids can a parent put with them in a cyber taxi? If only one per adult, families with 3+ kids can't use the service. Yeah, this is just a lot of. I mean, I would imagine that they're going to have like a Model Y taxi, for people that are, that need 5.
No, that's what's happening right now already.
Right.
And Elon said that the RoboVan thing, whatever they unveiled with the Cybercab, is still happening. So that's going to be what's for more people. But
for big people, yeah.
That thing made no sense to me either.
But Dan Overstay says, I don't think I would put a child under 14 in a car alone. A Zoox fits 4 people. That's the what is it, Amazon?
Yeah, it's
Bezos or something.
Yeah.
How much more? Then they're running around in Vegas right now. How much more does it cost to manufacture that compared to a Cybercab? I mean, the Zoox is like a city thing. It's not aerodynamic at all, whereas the Cybercab is very aerodynamic. So maybe for longer trips and stuff, it makes more sense.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, Spikes 43 question. Have you heard of Tesla allowing FSD transfer to a new S or X? Would they essentially discount the Lux package? I don't know if they would be able to do that.
Yeah, that's right. So but I thought the Lux package was not a thing since they killed the subscription. Everything went to subscription. Yeah, I don't think there's a Lux. Oh, there's still Lux. Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute. So Lux package included. So you don't have to subscribe to FSD. Oh, okay. So FSD is not completely FSD package is not completely dead. Then I thought for sure it was dead since the February 14th because of that. I guess since they also killed the Model S and X, they feel like it's not that big of a difference. Yeah, I've not heard that. I've not heard but I've heard that FSD transfer is still going on right now. Though you can still get a transfer on other cars. I don't know about that in particular, though. No.
All right, let's see. Thoughts on why the cheap Cybertruck delivery dates are so far in the future? I'm seeing April 2027 now. Is there really demand, or is this tamping down demand?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
We don't know if there was limited supply. Of course, it pushes that.
All right, I don't have kids. 14 seems like the age my parents would let me ride on the bus alone. Anyone who disagrees with my ignorant age limit, propose the age you feel appropriate. So we're talking about kids in kids in a cab, or with a driver, or kids. Around New York City, kids are getting.
I guess it depends on the situation every time. Yeah.
All right, let's see. They wanted to see how many people were struggling with the idea of buying a Cybertruck. That would the group. that bought. So we're still talking about the price drop.
Yeah, but for sure, the price is the biggest thing with the Cybertruck. Like, as
Yeah.
much as you want to hate Elon and everything like that, it's like there's things to like about it, and the fact that it starts at $80,000, it's a big deal. $20,000 difference, a huge deal for most people. So yeah, you're gonna open up the market quite a bit, but it's fairly clear that they cannot sell it for $60,000. Like, they made that clear. They made that it's a deal that they're just a few months ago they were trying to sell a rear-wheel drive version for $70,000 that had a bunch of these features taken away. So there's more going on than just Tesla hasn't figured out magically how to sell the Cybertruck cheaper right now. They're making a deal right now, so we have to understand why. And Elon's idea of like finding the pricing is obviously a lie. He's dumb, but he's not dumb enough to not realize that when you create urgency, it's going to affect the data in this case. So there's something else going on for sure. Whether the Cybertruck production stops, whether they decide to do a refresh or something and stop production for a while. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not just that.
The stop test, so we're talking about the battery, the donut battery. The stop test was not a failure. The 90C was a BTT testing limitation set by the lab because that high of a temperature could be dangerous with conventional lithium-ion battery chemistries.
No, I mean, I read the paper. The paper clearly stated that they ran the test, they stopped it when they saw that it reached 90C, and they resetted the battery on the cell on the heat sink, and they figured that it was not properly set on the heat sink. So I mean, you want to call it it's not a big deal or anything like that. Just I think it's worth mentioning, but it happened. I don't know, not calling it a failure, but
All right. What would the charge time be at 1C?
that I don't know on the top of my head. But it wouldn't be awful.
All right. Donut Lab is raising capital now.
If you have information on that, actually, Brian, send it to Fred at Electrek.co. I'd be curious, because that would be a big red flag to me.
Right.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the CEO did tell me that we won't raise capital until we have confirmed with third-party labs. So I guess he means only the charging rate confirmed, but still.
Right. All right. Donut Lab claims that their battery can operate with 99% charge retention at -30 and also at 100 degrees Celsius. They said in the video that 90 degrees C was well within the battery safe range. Well, I mean, we're talking another 10 degrees. Anyway,
I mean, and it's just one cell. Like, how do you manage all these cells? Like, you cannot just stack them up and like run them at 11C at 90 Celsius. It's just that's not reasonable.
All right, Dimebag Darren, wait till we get to the new Zap chargers, 1/10 of a second to full charge, but you have to get out of the vehicle and stand in the provided shielded room or your watch and phone quit working. Yeah, Faraday cage.
Yeah.
You all should heed my advice about kids because my opinions have been biased by actually having kids of my own. Yes.
I mean, said as kids, is like we're not all just childless people commenting on parenting here.
All right, we got a lot of chit chat here going. Yeah. Let's see. Javon's paradox says increasing efficiency of resource use leads to the rise in total consumption. Advances in charge speed or automated driving, for example, inevitably lead to folks using EV for longer distance travel and more climate change. I'm not familiar with Javon's paradox.
I don't know about that.
All right. Gandalf asks, how is the EQS range? What model year you bought? Sharp looking unit. I bought a green 2023 EQS SUV with a third row and a lot of features. The range, it's been quite cold in the east. I get 180 miles going as fast as I can possibly go, up to Vermont, up a mountain, and arrive with 10 or 15% left. I would say on a normal highway, driving reasonable speeds in the cold, I'm probably getting around 250 miles and then closer to 300 miles if the weather's good. It doesn't have a heat pump and it's not super efficient, but it's got a 108 kilowatt hour battery, so it doesn't have to be that efficient. It is quite aerodynamic, so it does pretty well. And
does that have active suspension?
yeah,
So it does lower quite a bit on the highway.
It's really nice, yeah.
Mm.
All right. Dimebag Daryl, I don't know if the quality of the comments is great there.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. And
I know why he's saying that, Special K. All right, so I'm going to just weed through some of these.
Yeah.
But seriously, how many people are out there thinking, I'd love to buy a Cybertruck if it only 10K cheaper and had 200 miles more range?
A
There are
decent
people.
number. Yeah.
I was going to say.
$10,000 there's plenty of products like that, because you don't like the Cybertruck doesn't mean like it's not a good vehicle. Like a good friend of mine has one, and he's like very much into cars, into trucks, and it fits what he wants to do with it. And he's not a fan of Elon or anything like that, just of Tesla even these days. But he's like, this, if he only drives electric vehicles, and he likes the Rivian quite a bit, but it's more of a luxury product, especially here in Canada, pricing wise, and also not as much space in the in the bed, a little bit shorter bed. So yeah, the Cybertruck makes more sense for him, and that's it.
All right, we got some more battery nerdery. 188G core and a 315G shell. That 127G buffer is what makes the 11C charging possible. The math adds up. He continues 137 or 237G core equals 78G thermal buffer. That isn't dead weight. It's the 11C safety margin. Thoughts on that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm following. I don't know if he's talking about the breathability of the systems. Is that what we're saying? Because the cell is done as because I'm not familiar with the actual figures he's using here, but I know that the cell is kind of breathable, basically. So it expand, and there's room to expand within the cell, and that's one of the reasons they claim that they figured out the solid state of it, where it doesn't break because there's breathability of the material. So yeah, we haven't seen that obviously, but it's one of the explanation for the capacity at 11C.
We're going to move on from the battery stuff and Cyber with 600 miles plus range at $100,000 or less. Otherwise, the GMC Sierra EV Max beats it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that definitely affected the Cybertruck's market, is that it was supposed to come with a lot more range, and it didn't. And there are options out there, just like the Silverado and the Sierra, if you're fancy, that offer more. And yeah, I mean, if I had $100,000 to spend on a truck right now, it would be the Sierra EV for sure.
All right, Carl in San Diego. I do think if we stop using market demand for design and government mandated small battery EVs, that fast charging would help make them useful for occasional travel, but only if you make it inconvenient. Carl, I fully agree with you, but at the same time, we're both living in a fantasy world.
Yeah,
to think that the small cars are in demand right now. I
would agree with him though that the government, if you're gonna subsidize EVs, I would overly subsidize smaller, more efficient vehicles. That would make sense, because if you're really doing it to account for the impact on the environment, yes, that makes sense. Unfortunately, humans are set in their ways, and you can give them more, you can never take anything away. It's just not how human nature works.
All right, and then we have two more questions, but they're both about QuantumScape. What's going on with QuantumScape, and if Donut Lab does what they say it does, will that make QuantumScape irrelevant?
Yeah, I mean, it won't make a lot of things irrelevant if it's true, but I mean, I cannot prove that it's not true anything, but at some point they might run into you don't know what you don't know, and that applies to me, that applies to you, that applies to the Lab. and they say that the battery's in production. They say that it's going into a production EV this quarter, which is a month away at this point. So if that is true, yes, it could be revolutionary. However, we have not seen proof of that other than them saying true. An extraordinary claim requires extraordinary proof. So we have not seen the extraordinary proof just yet of that. So it makes sense to be skeptical still. And if they don't have everything that they claim to have in production already, even though they saw it work in the lab, a lot of it can go wrong in the production process. Plenty of battery company went bankrupt thinking that they had the magic battery, and then they put it in production, put it in volume production, and it didn't work. It happens all the time. Now, if Donut claims to already be there, already being past that hump, congrats, you just became some of the richest people in the world. But
change the world.
Yeah, you're gonna change the whole world. You're gonna make electric planes happen. You're gonna make energy so much cheaper because of all their energy storage gonna go through your 100,000 cycles lifetime. So yeah, but we have not seen the proof yet. No, there's been no proof beyond the 11C charging, which impressive, congrats, but it's not it. There's much more.
And finally, we have a revelation from AJ 1964 FL. Donut is not a scam. You will see when core weights between 188 and 237G VTT on Monday. Cheers from Finland. Oh,
he claims to be an insider. Yo,
he's an insider.
AJ, if it's true, if it's all true, like again, this would be great by itself too, but there's still a lot more to prove. It's awesome. Congrats.
Yep. All
right, that's it for us this week. If you enjoyed the Electrek podcast, please give us a like, a subscribe. It's easy to do, it takes a second, and it helps the show a lot more than you think. And yeah, I hope you guys have a safe weekend, and we're going to see you